If you want your country prosper, go plant more nutmeg and banana.
Hi there, I am Mike Noel. Welcome to the Nutmeg Tree. Today we speak with Butchko farmer Dr. Francis Antoine.
Why do you think nutmeg is important to the economy of Grenada?
Well, Mike, as you know, as well as most Grenadians know, nutmeg has always played a very important role in the livelihood of most Grenadians. I would say about 25% of the employed force in agriculture is employed one way or the other with agriculture. And nutmeg forms a vital part of that. In any case, before I continue, let me just say good day to our fellow farmers out there who are up and about, just about now, going into their fields and working very hard to see this country move forward. Now, the question of the nutmeg industry as a sector, while it has historically played a major role in the Grenadian economy, it continues to play a major role. However, I think at this point it is underutilized, underdeveloped, and so the potential, the full potential of the nutmeg industry is yet to be realized.
Well, you say that when you compare the nutmeg industry with the other sectors of the economy, do you see it as most important?
Well, from the agricultural sector, yes, it seems to be the most important. It is the most important agricultural sector. But compared to other sectors like the financial sector, the service sectors, for example, or the financial sectors, it plays a minor role right now relative to those. Because we now have, for example, the educational sector, tertiary educational sector, playing a major role in the economy. And they form a major part of the service sector. Coupled with that with tourism and the financial sector and other sectors. But from a productive sector, the nutmeg sector coupled with the cocoa sector continue to play a major role. Remember, farming is a vital means of livelihood for quite a number of people in our country. But without farming, we can remain without vital food products. And nutmeg, for example, is a major food crop used in a wide range of products, not only just as a spice, but it's used in things like pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, flavors. And so that's why I said earlier on, the full potential of our nutmeg sector is still untapped. And we require some innovative minds at this point to begin to recognize the potential and to make best use of it. Let me just illustrate that. In the 1970s, George Brizan, then instructor at the Grenada Boys Secondary School, talked about the black gold that Grenada has. And by the black gold, he referred to the nutmeg as that black gold. By that, he actually meant that the potential the nutmeg had at that time, and still has, is huge. However, we have failed over the last many years, 3 decades or so, to tap the gold that's held within that black seed. And so we failed in that respect. However, I think we're at a point where we can change that around and make it a productive sector. I.e., we have to begin in an aggressive and assertive way to utilize the full potential that could be obtained from the nutmeg, i.e., the processing of the nutmeg into value-added products, including ground nutmeg, including whole nutmeg seeds packaged nicely for international sale, including the nutmeg oil, which is the more important aspect of it, because quite a huge percentage of our nutmegs go into either ground nutmeg or nutmeg oil, I would think, as well as the mace. Coupled with that, we need to make greater use of the byproducts from the nutmeg sector, like the nutmeg pod. There seem to be quite a range of products that could be made from the nutmeg pods, and after 67 years, we're yet to touch that. Yes, there are a few people who make nutmeg syrups, for example. There are some who make nutmeg jams, and currently there are a couple of organizations interested in just the nutmeg pods for whatever purposes they see. However, for the most part, our nutmeg pods are yet to be tapped as a huge natural resource. The nutmeg shell, we have several we don't know, tons of nutmeg shell that remain untapped. There's a huge potential for making use of the shell into a number of products. we need at this point people to think innovatively in terms of what can be done with those things, and putting together business plans and beginning the process of entrepreneurship. Individual Grenadians need at this point to begin to think of manufacturing, taking the raw agricultural produce we have and turning it into vital value-added products. And nutmeg plays a major role in this. And like I said again, I'm going to repeat it for the third time, the potential that the nutmeg sector holds for moving Grenada forward is huge. The challenge we have is lack of entrepreneurs willing to harness those potentials, and the support and encouragement needed from the governmental institutions in terms of policy that would make the question of investing by locals much easier and much more expedient. Okay.
Tell me, Butchgrove, seems to be you from Butchgrove, and you're a son of a farmer. You tell me, how do you see nutmeg as it plays the role in the life of Butchgrove? And because you come from a farmer's family, and do you see the role of the nutmeg play such an important part for the survival of the village that you and the people in the village that you grew up with?
Yes, to answer that question, I probably need to tap into some historical information. You know, there was a point in time in Grenada's history when the nutmeg was being bought and sold by individual large farmers, right? Among them would have been somebody like T.A. Noble Smith, who was from Butchgrove as well. But he at the time had the vision to recognize that small farmers by themselves will not benefit from the sale and export of nutmeg, but that they can achieve a lot more if they came together cooperatively. Hence the formation of the Grenada Co-operative Nutmeg Association in 1947. Since then, most farmers, nutmeg farmers, would have experienced some benefits from that association, because by themselves as individuals they couldn't achieve as much as they currently achieve being involved in the association. So my family, my father would have, being a part of that, would have benefited from it, which would have helped us, for example, helped him, to be specific, to send us to school, and at the same time, because of our exposure to his farming, we've learned quite a number of disciplines. For example, the discipline of hard work, right? And the ability to wake up early in the morning and recognize that you've got a responsibility to a family, and you go out there and you do the necessary work to ensure that the family is fed, educated, and clothed and housed. And so from that perspective, nutmeg played a major role in ensuring that for my father's family, my brothers and sisters, and of course our parents and grandparents as well, because we would have in one way or the other helped them, pick up the nutmegs and learn about the nutmegs in the field as well as do the macing and the drying of the maize, etc., selling of the nutmegs. So to most families whose parents or members of families actually involved in nutmeg production, they would benefit directly. The challenge we have is not just benefiting directly, but we want the farmers to benefit much more. We know the potential is much greater for our farmers in the nutmeg sector. Let me just illustrate that. In the 1960s, the farmers used to get a lot more from the nutmegs. And as George Brizan reported in the Black Gold book, he said, for every dollar of export revenue obtained by the GCNA in the 70s and 80s, for every $100, approximately $66 was given to the farmers, and 33 was used for operational processes. Today, the situation is reversed, whereby the farmers receive less than 33%, and the 66% is dissipated in other administrative purposes, and that needs to turn around. That needs to change. It's unfair to the farmers that they are not enjoying the benefits of the labor. So I would say we are at a junction where we could challenge the board, the GCNA board and its members and the farmers in general, to begin to think differently. They begin to need to demand more from the directors, the board of directors, in terms of ensuring that the association reduce its costs, operational costs. Make sure that they pay the farmers the best possible price. Yes, there was a price drop in the nutmeg recently, but certainly that was necessitated because of the past performance by the previous board in the last year or so, and even before that. Now we have to turn around the situation to the point where we can begin to actively market the nutmeg, but not just marketing the nutmeg. Like I said, there is huge potential in nutmeg oil that's untapped. There is huge potential in selling ground nutmeg that's untapped. There is huge potential in making byproducts from the nutmeg pods and nutmeg shells that's yet to be tapped. And our people, our farmers, and even non-farmers, but other Grenadians in general, need to step up to the plate and begin to think of becoming entrepreneurs and making best use of our resources. It's only when we begin to take our raw materials, agricultural materials, including nutmeg, and process it into value-added products like nutmeg oil, nutmeg jam, nutmeg butter, nutmeg shell briquettes, even lumber or timber for furniture. That's when we'll begin to see, the true benefits that the nutmeg holds.
That was Butchgrove farmer Dr. Francis Antoine. Next week, we will bring you the second section of that interview. So let's stop here for today. I am Mike Noll reporting.
If you want your country prosper, oh, that's more nutmeg